So, episode 5 of Kenobi. Overall thoughts, easily my favorite episode of the season. I think it's the best one. I think there are moments that are, again, I still think this show, every episode has suffered from good and bad. I think this show had way more good than bad, and the bad in this episode, it really doesn't bother me that much, but we'll talk about it. I think every single episode has had and has suffered from good and bad. I think some episodes have had more bad than good, and some either way. I think this is the best episode. I think it's my favorite episode, and I think a lot of it has to do about the nostalgia. And just jumping right into it, we open up with a shot of Coruscant, which I was just like, oh my god, it's happening. It's finally happening. We're finally getting a flashback with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Check out the hair. You notice the hair? So it's taking place before episode 2, which I thought was really cool. They strike sabers, cut straight to Vader. So awesome. I'm so happy that we're getting Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I thought that was a great start to the episode. And, you know, I saw a lot of criticism that, like, Hayden looks old. I'm like, I mean, it's been like, what, 16, 17 years or something? I think he looks fantastic. I thought it looked great. I'm happy they didn't use any de-aging on him. I thought that scene looked like the way they kind of like weaved it through this episode. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. It was so good to see them. And obviously as the flashbacks go, they just get better and better and better. And I absolutely loved it. So we're seeing Vader. He calls in Reva, tells her to kneel, bend the knee, Reva, and he names her Grand Inquisitor. Interesting. I think that's a really big impactful moment for kind of what happens later, because I think it's a really important tell. They set the course for Jabim, and I thought they were going to be taking Leia home, but I guess they decided to just go straight to Jabim, not go to Alderaan to drop her off. I was kind of hoping that they would just drop Leia off and like her story would be kind of wrapped up and they would kind of put a bow on that, but not. Instead, they're taking the tracker to Jabim. I really thought we'd get more Jedi arriving there. We saw lightsabers, we saw robes, but no Jedi, unfortunately. Haja's there, a fake Jedi was there. Like, after thinking about it later, what he said kind of makes sense. He's basically like feeling like a real Jedi now because he's being hunted by the Empire. I thought it was actually kind of weird that he was there. I don't know. But back to Vader. Reva's trying to give Vader input. She was concerned that they were going to lock the people in and they were going to be able to hunker down and that it was going to be hard to break them that way. And Vader's like, it's not the people that we need to break. It's Kenobi. Kenobi finds another wall with a bunch of writing on it and a bunch of Jedi quotes and stuff written on the wall. The light will fade, but never forgotten. Another one of those really cool, kind of powerful, overarching story. So hacked Lola gets into the system and locks everything down, so they're now officially trapped. Vader is here. Kenobi says he has no patience, and to another flashback of training, which I thought was super interesting. Kenobi tells Anakin that he's too aggressive in this flashback. The Jedi goal is to defend life, not take it. And again, I feel like that was the very first seed planted for this episode and where it ends up going. Again, I thought the flashbacks were so good. Anakin responds with, mercy doesn't defeat the enemy, master. Mercy is for the weak. An enemy deserves no mercy. Wait, that's a different... Never mind. Back to Vader, and then he orders the attack. Imperial forces arrive to some soft music, in my opinion. Why not go OG Star Wars? Give us some Imperial March. Imperials marching to go destroy a group of people and start a war. Maybe not the exact Imperial March. I know we want to keep this idea of it debuting in Empire Strikes Back. Rogue One used a version of the Imperial March for a very quick shot. There's no reason that they couldn't expand on that. The music overall has been a down part. Like, Star Wars music is some of my favorite music in all of content. Doesn't matter what movie or show, like, the good Star Wars music is some of the best music ever. And I feel like that they really could have gone all in on the music with a Kenobi show. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. I feel like we could have gone all in on the music. They start blasting the doors in. Leia goes to investigate the issue at the door because she's small and she could go climb through areas that the tech is for the door. She could fit and climb through there. Kenobi gets a message from Bail. I thought this was a little weird. I think it's one of those convenient storytelling elements that happened throughout this show. He's worried since there hasn't been any communication. I would probably be like, as a dad, I'd be worried too. Be like, yo, bro, where are you at? I don't know if I would have put as much specific information in my message that Bail Organa did. Bail Organa's a smart dude. He mentions a boy on Tatooine. He mentions Owen, and he's going there. Like, I don't know if I would have put that much information. What if Obi-Wan was dead and the comm device was on him and someone found it? Like, someone ends up finding it. That's a lot of very valuable and top secret information that you just put in a comm device that apparently anybody could just open and listen to the message. I don't know about that. I didn't like that part very much. This is a really powerful moment from Tala. She shares her motives and talks about her reasons for doing what she's doing, talking about as an Imperial dealing with Force-sensitive families, executing them. She felt hopeless, and that's why she fights against the Empire. It kind of felt like a Finn moment from Force Awakens, where it's like you're sent to go do a job as a member of the Empire, but then you're like, oh shit, this is what we're doing? Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm going to flip the script and go do something else. I think that's a really powerful story because, again, not everyone who works for the Empire is this evil, crazy person who wants to just destroy the universe. I think it was cool to see a Imperial officer flip sides and do things for the right reasons. Kenobi decides that he wants to negotiate. He wants to go talk to Reva. And this is where we finally get Reva's backstory, which it was a slow burn. I like slow burns done well. I think it was pretty obvious. Like, once you let a lot of these episodes settle in, the opening scene where they hit us with Order 66, I think it was pretty clear that Reva was one of the younglings. I think that's pretty obvious. They gave us a very specific scene with a very tight focus on a group of younglings. I think it was pretty obvious, but we finally get her full backstory. She was officially revealed to be a youngling at the temple during Order 66 and saw Anakin killing everyone. We get a brutal flashback of Anakin killing younglings. We get up close shots of Anakin, his saber struck, just absolutely brutal scene. Very emotional stuff, very hard to watch. When Anakin left, she played dead and says Anakin stole the only family she knew, which I think is going to lead to her ultimate reasons for doing whatever she ends up doing in the finale. Kenobi gets out of her that she's hunting Vader, and he's sitting there using the Force, and she could tell because she calls him out on it and tries to tell her that, you know, we're here for the same thing. Let's work together. Let's try to get this done. We want the same thing. And she questioned, like, oh, you want Anakin dead. Questions where Kenobi was while all the younglings were being killed. I mean, he was trying to survive Order 66 himself. But I get the question. I get the hatred towards Obi-Wan in this moment for her. I think it makes a lot of sense. She wants to know why Obi-Wan wasn't there to stop his Padawan from killing everyone. I think that's a really fair question. And I think that's the most obvious. And I think that's ultimately the best reason why she knows who Anakin is. I think it's the best reason for her wanting to do what she is doing. I think of all the different theories and potential reasons for her doing what she's doing, I think that was the best one. And I really dug that part of the story. Reva gets the door open. Kenobi force pushes her away, and the fighting breaks out, and all hell is absolutely breaking loose. Ned B throwing some stormtroopers around. That was dope. He was just freaking squashing these stormtroopers so good. Tala gets struck. Ned B protects her, and Tala pulls out a thermal detonator and blows a bunch of people up. Pretty emotional, pretty crazy moment. Vader tells Reva to stand down. Kenobi's already theirs, and here comes another flashback. They're flashbacks, which I thought were really awesome. I think it did two things. I think it almost teases and foreshadows multiple things. You see some of the moves that you see in their Revenge of the Sith fight, and then you see stuff that happens in their first encounter on episode 3. Anakin dominating and says, admit that you've been beaten. No, young one, I have not been beaten. Kenobi comes to the realization that it's over and tells them to get out. He hands over his saber, he leaves. There are other ways to fight. I think this is another one of those really awesome lines. It's like another callback to OG original trilogy. There are alternatives to fighting. I think that was a great line. I thought that was so good. Kenobi lets Reva know that she's not bringing Vader to him, but that he's bringing Vader to her. I thought that was really sneaky. And I think in that moment, I think Reva should have been a little bit on high alert, but Obi-Wan tries to make another deal with her, and she responds with, what makes you think he won't see it coming? And Kenobi says, because he will only seize me. Got her! Boom! You fell for the trap, Reva. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Master Jedi, got you. And here we go, another flashback. More callbacks to their fight on Mustafar. Anakin knocks Kenobi's saber out of his hand and tells him, it's over. Your need for victory blinds you, Obi-Wan tells him in response, and then Vader arrives. That's another one of those, again, it's this whole, the way they're intertwining these flashbacks into the episode, it's almost like their literal training fight back then is mirroring what is happening in this episode. And every time they show something, it's ultimately the same thing that plays out. It's an absolute mirror. The same exact thing is playing out on both sides. I think it was absolutely fantastic. Leia figures out that Lola's hacker on it transmitting and fixes the doors. Everything opens, and then probably one of the most epic things that we've ever seen Vader do. Probably the most epic thing we've ever seen Vader do. He catches the transport as it's taking off. He catches it, pulls it down, lands it, rips the door off. Holy shit, that was so cool. It just really goes to show how damn powerful he was and is in these moments. But it was a decoy. There was another transport on the other side. Everyone takes off. And I think this is a really, really important moment where Vader is still the learner. Obi-Wan is still the master. I think that is a brilliant piece of storytelling in terms of Anakin, Vader, and Obi-Wan's relationship and the way everything goes. We get another flashback, Obi-Wan winning the fight against Anakin with no saber. He's defending and ducking and diving, and he ends up taking Anakin's saber away from him. He tells him that he's a great warrior, but he needs to prove himself is his undoing. Until he overcomes it, a Padawan he will be. Okay, Yoda, dang. A Padawan he will still be. Vader knows Obi-Wan got him in that moment. Reva tries to sneak very poorly, tries to sneak up on Vader, and this was probably my favorite part of the entire show. He stops her in her tracks, completely toys with her, just like a scene out of The Matrix. He doesn't have a saber out, she's attacking him, he's just like moving his hands around, blocking her, and like she's going all out, and he's just playing with his toy, making it look so easy, knocks her down. He's got both, because she has the dual saber, and he snaps it. He now has two sabers in his hand. She's kneeling down in front of him. I 100% was anticipating a Dooku moment, too dangerous to be kept alive. One of those very big moments where I fully expected him to take the sabers and just decapitate her, but she lives in that moment. She starts having her visions of Anakin killing younglings, and Vader stabs her through the stomach, reveals he knew about her all along, and reintroduces the Grand Inquisitor. I absolutely loved this moment. I don't necessarily love the line the Grand Inquisitor hits Reva with. Revenge does wonders for the will to live. It's like, I get that's like what he was telling her, but follow through on your revenge then. Vader should have killed her, and if Vader didn't kill her, Grand Inquisitor should have killed her. Like, you're gonna leave her with a line like that to leave her the possibility of getting revenge and having a will to live. I didn't like that. But I absolutely 1,000,000,000% loved the idea that Vader knew all along. I thought that was so good. It just goes to show how good he is. He's so smart and he's just so powerful. And I think it was just so damn good. I said it before, I would have been really upset if Reva was a spy and she was able to like accomplish a bunch of things under Vader's nose, behind his back. I think that would have been pretty weak. But the fact that he knew all along, calling her a youngling is such a holy shit moment. That had to like strike so hard. And again, it's just gonna probably build her up for more revenge. But I thought that moment was so good. I loved it. I'm wondering why he kept her around for 10 years. I mean, she did ultimately lead Vader to Kenobi. So I'm wondering if he just had that foresight that he knew at some point that she was going to provide very big dividends and be very impactful on the overall story. And then when it all happens, I'm done with you. But they leave her alive, which again, I think it's bad storytelling. I'm not going to lie. She crawls over to the drop comm device because Haja dropped it while running away. And we get Bale's message in just the perfect chunks for her to hear Tatooine, child, Owen, I'm coming there. This is so crazy. So now she knows there's a child being protected on Tatooine, which she's going to find a way to heal herself. I mean, she's a human being. She got struck through the entire midsection with a lightsaber. Obviously, we've seen dark side users survive worse, but I'm not even sure how strong she is in the dark side. I don't know if she has the capabilities of a Maul, or she definitely doesn't have a multiple stomach like the Grand Inquisitor has, but I don't know. I think she was always torn, and I think her reasons for doing things, I don't know if she ever fully committed to the dark side. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and considering like Qui-Gon died from a single shot to the stomach, Qui-Gon's one of the strongest Jedi, and I guarantee you he's stronger than Reva. But again, it's part of the story, and we'll just gotta have to see where where it goes because they really left us with no choice. So I still think the finale is going to be super dope. Episode ends with Kenobi feeling something being off. I think that's a really good sign. I think Kenobi is fully back into the Force. We saw him in this episode just whooping ass, deflecting shots, doing his thing. He was Force pushing Reva around, and the fact that he feels there's a disturbance in the Force because Reva now knows that there's a child on Tatooine with Owen, and she had the encounter with Owen, so she knows who Owen is, and she's 1,000,000% going there. I have like best case scenario and worst case scenario. Worst case scenario of this potential moment scares the living shit out of me in terms of the canon, but now she knows, and we end with a shot zooming in on Luke sleeping. So again, overall, I thought it was the best episode. I think it was easily the best episode. The stuff that I didn't love, I think was tolerable, and the stuff that was good, I thought was epic. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was so good. And overall, seeing Vader at that level, being able to top what he did in Rogue One was amazing. And still seeing that side of Obi-Wan, knowing him so well that he was able to use his strengths and his weaknesses against Vader. I don't think anyone else could do that. Because of the relationship with Obi-Wan, with Anakin, and the fact that they have all that training and all that time together, I think he's the only one who could do that to Vader, outside of maybe Palpatine. But the fact that he was able to use his aggression and his desires to win and get recognition, he used all of that against Vader in this moment. And I love the way it was intertwined with the story. So good. I love when storytelling could pull that kind of stuff off. So good. Love that aspect of the show. Overall, I think this was a really good one. So I absolutely very much enjoyed this and cannot wait to see where we go in the finale.